Because when it happens, when that shift, which is all death is, when that shift happens, have you done what you came to do here? Did you live your purpose? Did you leave a legacy? Did you act with kindness and grace? Did the people around you know that you're loved? Did you love yourself? You guys, I got dressed up for our date with death. Ooh, this is gonna be such a yummy one. Death as a spiritual teacher. Who would have thought? Death is actually our greatest teacher ever. There's nothing that can shake us to our core more than the idea of death. So we'll talk a little bit today about what can we learn from death. To be honest, I have been like petrified of death. And in order to transform that fear, I got really curious and I began to study. Well, what is it? Why am I so scared of this? Because that is how you can transform fear of anything. Change it to curiosity. Get to know whatever it is that you're scared of, whatever it is that causes intense fear in you. Get really curious about it and start to learn about it, start to study it. And then what happens when you gain this information and this wisdom and this education around something that you were really scared of, that fear starts to dissipate because knowledge has happened. You're starting to gain wisdom and you're starting to see things differently and it's not so scary. So that is how I have transformed my fear of death, and I want to share with you what you can learn from it, what you can learn from death, what death teaches us, because death is our best spiritual teacher. Now, a note on Western culture. I currently live in the United States where death is a bit taboo. In Western culture, death really isn't promoted as this beautiful, wonderful, natural experience. It's kind of this tucked away. We don't talk about it. We're really scared of it. We teach our children to be really scared of it. We tuck away the dead people, like we put away the old people in homes because we don't want to see them. We don't want to be with the dying. It's really quite sickening. So growing up in this system, it just perpetuates that deep fear of like, oh my God, I'm moving toward death. Death is gonna happen. And look at how the society around me treats death, treats older people. It's disgusting. So the first thing that I did to scratch my curiosity was I started looking at other cultures. Like, what do other cultures, how do they approach death? And it's wildly different than the Western United States. So different. Even Mexico, which is just a southern country, they have Dia de los Muertos, where they honor. They have pictures out and their favorite foods and letters and music, and it's this celebration because they're not dead. They just see them as, you know, spirits in a different dimension, in a different realm. So just having that idea made me look at death way different. And then if you go even further into other countries, I learned that they actually like keep dead corpses around after a family member passes. They keep them around for, I don't even know how long, but some are like stuffed and kept outside, and they actually have like a table setting. Every night, every meal, they put out a meal for the person who has passed. There are some indigenous cultures where they still, like, part of the house, the tent that they have, like the upstairs, you don't go into because that's where the deceased live. Like, it just is amazing how other cultures view death, and the way that it's viewed here is so radically different. So that is by far one of the key points that really helped me to see, like, well, death isn't this like shameful bad thing that I'm running toward. It can actually be something that's celebrated. And to go beyond that, the next thing that really transformed my fear of death was reading about past lives, reincarnation, near-death experiences. I devoured videos, audiobooks, books, lectures, you named it. These people had died. They actually had experiences of dying, and then, you know, their spirit came back to their body because they had more to do here. That has always fascinated me, but reading those stories and hearing those stories really helped me to like see that it's not an ending. There is something there. It's just, I've been taught that. Well, like, that's it. You're done. Of course we're scared of that. But through all of my studies and all of my revelations, That's not true. Not 1 ounce of that is true. But I do see how keeping me small and scared does help other people. But that's a video for another time, ladies. So near-death experiences. Oh, these are incredible, where the spirit leaves the body and the sense of love, almost they can't even like describe it. They use their best English to describe the situations, but it's indescribable because they've just connected back to Source Creator, which I know our small human mind can't even like fathom and put to words that experience. But that got me excited. Like, okay, well, whenever I do leave, there's something like really fucking cool that happens, that I'm joining. I'm just going to another reality. I'm just going to another dimension. And I have read the most amazing book called, let me go get it because I don't remember the word. This book, get it, We Live Forever. This book really helped me dismantle kind of what my idea of death was. I cannot recommend it highly enough, especially if you are scared of dying or the idea of death scares you. This is definitely a must read. It will help expand your consciousness around death and just to have a different idea, and you'll feel the truth of it. Because that's what, when I was studying these other cultures and I was listening to these experiences, I felt the truth of it. It felt real to me. Like, yes, the ending, that never sounded right. That didn't sound like that was my truth. I didn't feel like I ended. So of course that's terrifying because that's a lie. That's not what happens to us. So you'll feel the truthness of these experiences, of these books. So get really curious, study other cultures and how they approach death, read everything you can on near-death experiences, past life regressions, parallel realities, all of it. Get multidimensional, ladies, because that will help you enormously. Use death as a spiritual teacher and really learn what death has to offer. Because all it is a changing, it's a shift. That's what this book really, really helped me understand, was it's just like a passage through one door into another. Kind of when they say like when you're dreaming, you just, this life was the dream and you wake up somewhere else. Like that's the passageway, but there's some other really cool things about it. And it talks about like a burst of energy that we have when somebody dies. Because we're leaving this human density body, we're reconnecting back into spirit, and that's powerful. And that people around you, if you are around somebody that is leaving the earth in that moment, they can actually see light, or they can feel it the minute that it happens. And like there's this exhilaration that happens, and it's like, oh my God, why are we not talking about this? Why is this not shared? It's just this death, dismal sadness. And yes, there is grieving 100%, but that's not all that death is. And I had to take it upon myself, and it's been extraordinary. I don't want to say I'm excited to die. I still have some things to do here, but taking these steps has radically transformed I'm intense, ladies. I was like anxiety about it. Radically transformed my fear of death and dying into like this fascination of like, wow, we are so fucking cool. Another very cool thing that I want to recommend to you guys is there is a book called Fierce Medicine by a shaman and yoga teacher named Anna Forrest. In the book, she has a death meditation. You may be able to access it online and other places, but this is a game changer. I was bawling for hours. I did a lot of letter writing. You are saying goodbye. You're basically practicing your death, but that you know about it. So let's say you knew that you were gonna die, this evening. I believe that's the timeline. And you are writing letters to your deepest loved ones. I have 3 children and a husband I adore. Bawling. Ugh, it was so heart-wrenching. But moving that energy through me was so therapeutic. I just wrote pages and pages to my husband and my children, and I forgave everything, and it was amazing. So therapeutic, and all the tears. I would give yourself at least an hour, if not 2, of private time. I cannot understate this enough. If you get access to this or go find it, it was extremely valuable. You basically practice your own death. I know. That's the kind of shit I'm into, ladies. Yeah. And the really cool thing is a couple of weeks ago, I actually gave my oldest daughter the letter that I wrote to her a couple of years ago doing that meditation, because I felt she needed to hear those words. And sometimes we can express things through writing more eloquently and more gracefully than we can through words. And I gave it to her and I told her just to hang on to it, to keep it. It was hers. And it was the letter I actually wrote as if I was dying. And I'm still here. And that's another thing. We don't have to wait until we're gone to say these things. So it may actually prompt something within you to make a phone call, to reconcile, to apologize, to whatever. When you are on your deathbed, which is basically what this meditation is, you look at the world completely different. You forgive easy. You see clearly how we hang on to little shit. Really, does it really matter? If you're out, if you're leaving the planet tonight, does that little thing really matter? You know, something to think about. But it really, really puts into perspective. We take life way too seriously. We take ourselves way too seriously. Death is the best spiritual teacher because it puts into perspective living in the now moment. Because when it happens, when that shift, which is all death is, when that shift happens, have you done what you came to do here? Did you live your purpose? Did you leave a legacy? Did you act with kindness and grace? Do the people around you know that you're loved? Did you love yourself? Did you do all that you could? You came to the party. We came to be here on the planet for a reason. Did you show up? Or did you live small? These are real questions. And when death is at the door, even if it's made up or what appears to be made up, because we don't really know, I do believe on a soul level we know, but on a human consciousness level, I don't think we know. But maybe, you know, who knows? It can really help put that fire in us to live more on purpose and to let things go. It's incredible, incredible. The other thing that I wanted to recommend that I actually have not done myself yet is spend time with the dying. I know. I've got a family member who is on the way, and that's been really softening on my heart in a way that nothing else can. When you know somebody is approaching the end of their physical life here, and especially if they're close to you or if they're a family member, that affects you deeply. And on some level, it changes who you are and how you approach life and how you see things. And I'm able to forgive this person so easily because I know that their life here is ending. It's radical. It's absolutely radical. So you don't know when your last breath is. So be grateful for it. Really, really be grateful for your life, for who you are, for who you be, for what you came here to do. It's so, so important. You're here on purpose. Really live with intention and show up every day so that when the time comes, you're good. You're like, peace out. I did it. I'm happy with my journey. That's what you want. You want to live on purpose, and death is the perfect spiritual teacher to do that. There's so many things to learn from death. These are the tools that helped me. As with every video, ladies, it is my deep, true intention that this helps you on your self-love journey, and I love you deeply. I will see you next week. Death really isn't, here, my experience has been that death really isn't, okay, like really loud, I don't know what that is. Plain, slouching, straight. Look at me looking all pretty, and then I'm about to go to the gym after this, so way different look than we have going on here.